So as I was sitting in my room today, I was trying to think of some other underrated animations, but one came to mind that I feel like maybe fits in that category. So this one is actually a live action animation type movie, you know, like Looney Tunes Back in Action, which we'll save for another day because that is another good movie. But this one in particular was on my mind because I remember watching it so much when I was a kid. Like so much that I remember even the disgusting parts. And trust me, there is a couple of disgusting parts in this movie. And I'm talking about the one, the only, Osmosis Jones. Yes, if that name didn't ring a bell, then you are too young. And you need to go watch it right now because you're missing out on cinema. No, seriously, this is a movie that I watched so much as a kid. I remember it coming on, I don't even know if it was Disney or I don't remember it all too well. Again, at the end of the day, I'm no film buff, but it is one of those movies that I think that started that like everybody needs a hero type of vibe. I believe it might have even had the song in that movie. I could be wrong, but yeah, I think I was at this time like 5 or 6 when this movie came out, and to this day I still remember is one of my top Bill Murray movies of all time. So if you guys have never heard about this movie, let me go ahead and just deep dive a little bit into it so that way you guys can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. So Frank is an unhealthy zookeeper widower at the Memorial Zoo in Rhode Island. Who would have thought? Unhealthy zookeeper? The irony in that is just kind of crazy because I mean he literally is just chilling and trying to make animals healthy, and here he is being the most unhealthy person ever. He copes with the death of his wife Maggie by overeating and foregoing basic hygiene. Absolutely disgusting if you ask me. Much to his daughter Shane's embarrassment. Inside his body called the City of Frank, very original guys, by its its living beings. I don't know how to say that word. White blood cell osmosis Ozzy Jones. Again, Ozzy Jones. Nah, we won't deep dive into that too much. By the way, who's played by Chris Rock himself, man. Yeah, the man that got smacked into Tomorrow by Will Smith. Ozzy Jones is a quick-witted officer of the Frank Police Department whose attempts to catch germs end up causing trouble in Frank's body. Now, this is such a cool atmosphere. Like, I'll go into more of this later, but like the idea of just having a live action with some animation inside of it, like the Roger Rabbit back in the day, you know, it's just, it's so good to me. And I feel like there needs to be more of it. Like even Sonic the Hedgehog recently is kind of on pair with those, you know, having this like CGI'd animation in live action. I think it's really cool. One day, desperate to be reelected, the corrupt Mayor Fleming, again, disgusting, doubles down on his junk food policies, ignoring their effect on Frank's health. This makes Frank eat a boiled egg that fell into a chimpanzee's habitat, allowing Thrax, a virus known as the Red Death, to enter his body. One of the coolest things about this is I'm just thinking of like what it was like introducing this idea in like the boardrooms. I can just imagine like them going up to Warner Brothers and just being like, so I have an idea. What if we took Bill Murray and we had a germ fighting combat team inside of him? Fleming instructs Frank to take a cold pill, Special Agent Drix, or, hold on, let me try to say this. Drixobenzometaphedramine. I nailed it. Who disinfects the throat but unknowingly covers up evidence of Thrax's arrival. Ozzy is ordered to assist Drix's investigation while Thrax, yes, Drix, Drax, Flaps, Flappy. There's a lot of weird names in here. While Drax takes over a gang of sweat germs run by local crime boss Scabies. I swear I want to be in that boardroom when this was like pitched. And attacks the dam in Frank's nose, nearly killing Drix before Ozzy saves him. And this is where I was saying, like, there is some absolutely disgusting scenes in this movie. Like, if you don't like snot and all that, there's definitely some scenes you might want to skip over because they show everything. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say about this because I don't want to spoil this movie for you. But it's one of those where it's like, there's a lot, and there's a lot that you need to deep dive and get into because this is one of those movies that I remember watching so much. And like I said, I just know even the disgusting parts stick in my head. This film actually had a budget of $70 million back in the day. It just came out in 2001, and literally it only made $14 million in the box office. And that's an absolute disgrace because this movie deserves better. I'm telling you, this is one of the most enjoyable movies you will ever watch, and I don't think it deserves the box office flop that it was. This movie, I remember coming out on like, I don't think it was, I'm assuming it was Warner Brothers like kids back in the day. You guys remember that channel? Oh my gosh, dude, like the Anamorphics, I think that was their name. I don't remember, but like that show, man, so good. But like the cast was also perfect because like I said, there was Chris Rock, which was absolutely amazing as the title character. You had Bill Murray, who played like the live action person, which I thought was super cool. You had Lawrence Fishburne as Thrax. Oh dude, if you guys don't know who Lawrence Fishburne is, have you ever watched The Matrix? You know, that's my dude right there. Then for the villain himself, like the mayor, you had William Shatner. Yes, that's right, Michael Myers himself. That's right, you had the Captain Kirk in this movie, bro. Like, come on. Star Trek had nothing on this. But honestly, there's a lot of behind the scenes of why this movie probably failed on top of, you know, just flopping in the box office. So Osmosis Jones went through some horrible developmental hell during production. Like the animated sequences actually got completed before the film got completed, the live action side of things. But acquiring both a director and a star for the live action version, like absolutely was the hardest part. And on top of it, like because of how everything played out here, like the directors also wanted to be credited as the main directors of the entire film, even though they never overlooked anything on the animated side. So yeah, I could see why the animated side probably had a few words to say. Also, Will Smith himself wanted to play Ozzy, which I think this just kind of very ironic simply because of everything that's happened between Chris Rock and Will Smith. And this went back into 2001 where they were up for the same role. And Will Smith would have got it. Unfortunately, Will Smith had like a very busy schedule at the time and wasn't able to. So that's funny to me, but I thought that was kind of a coincidence, if you would. And this was also during the time like where Warner Brothers was just on a bad roll when it came to like animation type projects, right? We talked about The Iron Giant. Another one was the Looney Tunes Back in Action, which is another underrated film in my opinion. And this was like the one that came in between those two, which also failed. Like it's absolutely insane, and I feel so bad for Warner Brothers back in the day. And the main critique they had for this film, like critics back in the day, is that the animated side of this film was the best part of the movie, which I would argue is true, and that the live action side was more like on the boring side. And to me, that's where it kind of like goes on the opposite side of like how the Looney Tunes was, because the Looney Tunes Back in Action, like I think both sides meshed very well, where this side, it felt like the animated side was what they should have focused on more and had like maybe one or two scenes of the live action actor and what they were going through. But I see like the whole idea of how it comes together. It makes sense, and I appreciate it to this day because this film is one of my favorite animation type movies ever. However, it was praised by some critics as being the best live action animation type movie since Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which that's a big name to get compared to. So, I mean, you take what you can, right? However, this film also got a lot of Annie Award nominations, including Best Animated Picture, which ended up losing out to Shrek back in the day. But let's be honest, we can't blame them for choosing Shrek over this. I would probably choose Shrek any day. I mean, come on, let's be honest. But in the end, this film, I wanted to get it on your guys' radar because it's another underappreciated, underrated animation type movie. And I like the idea that animation is art, and I think animation is film, and it's one of those things that I will continue to say. And I'm glad we got directors like Guillermo del Toro that will come out and say this as well, because I think animation is something that people need to focus on a little bit more, especially the ones, like I said, back in the day, like this movie, Osmosis Jones. That would be one of those films that you probably just write off, but if you actually watched it today, you would just have an overall good time. And I think that's one thing I wanted to do with this series on this channel, is to make sure that people understand that animation doesn't have to be the best thing ever. It doesn't have to have the strongest story. It doesn't have to have like the best jokes. At the end of the day, the animation style of like how they make things and then how it comes out, and if you just sit there and just let your mind just go bleh, I'm telling you, you'll have a great time with almost every animation that you watch, because it's literally there to make you laugh. It's there to entertain you. It's there to be goofy. It's there to be silly. And if it has a great story on top of that, I mean, amazing. I mean, do I complain that WALL-E has one of the best stories in my opinion? No. Do I complain that, you know, animations like this year, like Nimona, has a really strong story? No, because I think strong stories are always very impactful, and I think they should be a part of stuff. But it is also, in my point of view, to sit and just enjoy these animations and just have fun with. Anyways, it is a very big contrast from this movie to, you know, The Iron Giant, like we studied back in the day. But I think it is cool to just have this, you know, very silly, gross movie that you just put on and you just laugh at how it is. I mean, again, when you have actors that put in the work they do, and like still give you like strong performances in these very funny and off the wall animations, I think it's perfect. I think it's a good time to just chill and laugh it out, you know? One of the coolest things about this film too that I enjoy is the animation style, because again, when you come to this time of like era, this was after the golden age of Disney in the 90s, and you're getting to the early 2000s where other animation styles, especially CGI, is coming into play, and you still have these like 2D animations that still try to compete. It is one of those things where it's like, it's hard. It's definitely hard, but I think we should still give them a chance, you know? And but this is one of those movies that it was gross, it was disgusting, but it was an enjoy to watch, and it definitely had its funny moments. At the end of the day, I remember plainly as a kid, like remembering the grossest scenes in this movie, and those were the things that, you know, critics hated. They were just like, oh, it's disgusting, it's distasteful, and I just enjoy it. Just have fun, okay? I'm tired of people, you know, like having these off the wall, like stupid reviews of stuff, man. Like, that's why I wanted to start this channel and have this channel like do things where like we can enjoy, you know, the Easter eggs. We can enjoy, you know, the stupid off the wall jokes, the fart jokes that make us all laugh no matter what we try to say. It doesn't. It does, you know, these stupid things, but also like study these very strong stories in these animations, to prove that, you know, animation is not just for kids, it's also for adults. And anyways, I know that's a little rant that I'm on, but go see this movie if you've never seen it. It's called Osmosis Jones. Came out in 2001. I'm sure you can find it somewhere. It's one of those things that, if to be open to bodily humor, because it does have a lot of that in here, but the overall idea of just having the inside animation of what's happening inside of our bodies. And like, I always joked around as a kid and growing up that, you know, when you take medicine, it's like medicine versus the illness, and I just imagined like a big huge war going on inside my body of just like the medicine destroying the illnesses and explosions and all that. And this movie kind of puts that in perspective and like brings it to life essentially, and I think that's really interesting. Definitely go check it out. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys leave a like, as well as consider subscribing, because I'll be talking about a lot of underrated animation, but also just I like making content, so you'll see a lot of different things on this channel, from reactions to animation stuff to movie deep dives to watching funny TikToks. Whatever I feel like doing on the day, I appreciate it. But at the end of the day, I'm no film buff, I'm just a movie fan. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.